Hello loves, welcome back to TigeraGitana. My name is Abby and today we are going to be talking about the new moon in Leo that is coming up tomorrow. And the energy surrounding it. I also pulled some cards for us, see what other messages we're getting from the our spirit guides and our angels. But we're going to start off with the astrology portion. And I'm going to be going over some of my favorites. Some of my favorite things about this particular new moon in Leo. Leo energy tends to be really fun. It tends to be very bold. So there's a lot of things at play. Aries energy is definitely creeping in. You might not completely, well, you will definitely notice it, but it's definitely creeping in a very powerful way for this particular new moon. We will be having, so Mars will be in Aries, Lilith is in Aries, and Chiron will be in Aries, and we have the Sun, Moon, and Mercury in Leo. So there's definitely a lot of fire in the skies right now, and it is working in a particular way that is really, it's almost like when you're adding more wood to the fire to make sure that it sustains itself. That's really what I'm seeing for this particular new moon in Leo. But let's just get started. So there is a beautiful sun conjuncting moon, sun conjuncting Mercury, and sun trine Mars happening for this particular new moon. And I do feel like there is an element of harmony, and that also came up in the cards as well. There is this element of harmony, of harmonizing, but with energy, with your fire. Every time we talk about energy, we're talking about like that solar plexus energy, that spirit energy, that immediate jolt of fire energy and purpose that we feel, that we get kind of pushed into. Leo energy highlights that solar plexus energy within ourselves on a collective level. So it's not just, one person or a few people or Leos are going through this. No, we're all collectively being triggered in many ways in the solar plexus area. And so there is this need to focus on that space and what that space means. And the chart is really amplifying and pushing us to reevaluate our alignment with our own purpose, with our own will, with our ego, which is that solar plexus energy. The solar plexus is ruled by Leo energy, and so having all of the sun energy, this fire energy, Mars being in Aries, all of these fire elements, and having Aries being a cardinal sign, pushing for that change, those shifts, those transitions, in a way where it's progressive. It's meant to be shifting into the next. It's not meant to be in like the same state, because while Leo is very much a fixed sign and likes to have its routine and likes what they like and that's it, and they have this set of things that they like to kind of move through, Aries energy does come into play in a way that it kind of pushes, especially with the sun trining Mars for this particular new moon, it pushes Leo to be better. It also questions Leo at are you the best that you can be? We could be doing more. Can you be doing more? And all of these questions are things that you are going to have to ask within that day, and actually for these past couple of days, you're really going to have to sit down with yourself and say, okay, what am I doing? Where am I going? Have I gotten complacent? Have I gotten too comfortable with where I'm at? Do I need to shift something? Because naturally Aries, they're not the ruler of the fire signs, but they are the ones that move the most out of all the fire signs. And they're the ones who initiate those movements as well. So when you have this kind of this sun trine Mars, when Mars is in Aries, and Mars is just Mars rules Aries, so you have this kind of already passionate drive and fired up to create change and to embolden and be emboldened in that change, and having this the sun being in Leo and you feeling comfortable in that change, it creates the question of, hey, have I gotten, you know, a little bit complacent? What have I gotten, you know, a little bit comfortable where I'm at? Is there anything that I need to add? Am I happy where I'm at? And that's one of the biggest questions. Am I happy? That's actually one of the questions that Archangel Michael kind of threw out, and we're going to talk about the cards in a few, but that's one of the biggest things about this is, are you happy? And if you're not, what are you going to do to change that? Like, what are you passionate about? What do you love? What do you want to evolve through? What do you want? What is it that you love that makes you feel comfortable in it? That's the other thing about being passionate about something. Because you can be like passionate for like photography, for example, but what is it about doing it that makes you continue to do it? You know, there has to be that kind of relationship, that connection from one point to the other of the thing. So there is this kind of like beautiful, supportive energy when it comes to evolving through our passions, evolving through our ego, evolving through fire. That's really what's going on with this particular new moon in Leo. I do see this like big kind of, especially with the sun conjuncting the moon and the sun conjuncting Mercury, because it's almost like you're kind of, your head is in the right place, and you're moving from a place where you understand that your ego is playing a big role into what you're doing, and your happiness and your joy is playing a big role into what you're doing and how you're moving. And because Leos, they love to be happy, they love to be in a state of joy and peace and harmony and chill and like pleasure and enjoyment. That comes into question. Are you enjoying your life? Are you in that pleasure mode? Are there aspects of yourself where you are actively kind of struggling to navigate through? Like, what's going on with that? How can you better work through that energy? And have you just gotten way too comfortable with how life has been going? Whether that be with the pandemic, are you comfortable being home, or there's other things that you could be doing within your time to help you not only progress, but also when it comes to love and what you're passionate about. And this definitely, to an extent, for some people, it will have to do with actually love, like actual love relationships. But the way I'm seeing it for the collective is, it's a lot of it is about us, and it's about that self-love. What are you passionate about? And are you one of the things that you're passionate about? You know, are you one of those things? So there's a lot, it brings all of these kind of questions to the air, but in a way where it's not conflicting. It's not like friction where it's just kind of pushing you into a door. It's almost like you're really just sitting with yourself, like looking and holding that mirror up this particular new moon. So it's just like a very beautiful time to be in alignment, not only with yourself and your happiness, your pleasure, your peace, your joy, and your love, but also with your spell work. You have to add a level of passion to what you're doing, especially if you're going to try to do any type of spell work. If you guys watched my weekly healing circle, we went over what I suggested. I definitely suggested doing some fire spells, but because the new moon in Leo falls under Wednesday, I highly suggest doing some specific word affirmations, especially with the sun conjuncting Mercury, in a way like your voice is what's going to amplify your intentions, what's going to set the tone, what's going to set the foundation. Once you say it, once you speak that thing out loud, it becomes your reality. And so now more than ever, there's just like this need to completely be in alignment with what it is that you want, on a level of passion, on a level of love. Like, you have to be connected to it. If you have gotten to the point where you're just like, you're doing, you know, a 9 to 5 just to do a 9 to 5, but it's really not your thing, you're gonna find yourself struggling a little bit to navigate this, especially if you're trying to do like, oh, I want to get a promotion in this job, but I don't really care for this job, I'm just trying to get the money, blah, blah, blah. You're gonna find yourself a little bit having a harder time manifesting kind of those type of spells. You have to be passionate about the thing. I cannot stress that enough. The way this chart is set up, it's like you have to want to be like, oh my God, I love doing this. I love the way it feels. I love being in it. Like, I love this. This is just one of the pleasures of my life, you know? And that's the way you need to address any spell work that comes up during that you want to do. I definitely recommend doing some fire spells, obviously, but I also recommend doing a lot of affirmation words, and also working with the air element as far as elemental magic goes. Okay, so the moon is also in a trine with Mars, and Mercury is also in a beautiful trine with Mars. So there is this really, really, really beautiful and powerful energy where you have to really kind of get emotionally and mentally clear on what you're doing, especially if you're trying to call things in spell work wise, and especially if you are trying to like even call in a relationship, or you're just trying to dive into your relationships a little bit deeper or anything like that. I would say this new moon it's actually a pretty good one for any type of like sex magic or anything like that you want to do. That's also a really good thing to do during this time as far as manifestation goes. Anything that kind of makes you kind of push your passion, your drive a little bit more, okay, a little bit more, because there is just this harmony that's happening during this time where you're not really struggling with the energy. You just feel like yourself. You feel more like you feel like you know what you're doing, which is really, really important. When you're kind of moving through Leo energy, it's almost it's your ego. So you have a lot of different ideas of who you are. And so when you walk, every step you take, you know what you're doing. You know how you're walking. You know why you're walking that way. I can tell you that as a Leo rising, I am very calculated about how I walk. That's actually a really good example. How I walk down the street, how I walk, period. There are like just the way like when you see like a cat walking, like this is why it's called a catwalk, because it's that legendary. Cats, Leos are that legendary that the whole damn shebang got named after them. But when I'm walking down the street, for example, and I got some music blasting, I am not just like, no, I am tearing that whole street up. And that's not even for other people to be perceiving in any capacity. That's just because that's how I walk. I walk with a certain amount of purpose. And it's in the same way that you can watch a cat. And I would highly recommend you, if you have never watched a cat walking, that you go look at a video of a cat just walking. And just so you can understand how much of themselves they carry in every step that they're taking. It's purposeful, and the tail moves in a certain way too. Like it's a sass to it. There's levels to it. But again, it's a very calculated thing because I'm very self-aware about that, and how I do that and how I kind of move and my own sensuality, which is a huge part of Leo energy. And so you have to be able to carry yourself in that way. Like how have you been carrying yourself? How have you been navigating how have you been moving? Are you fully comfortable with the way you've been moving? Is your back hurting? Is like different parts of your body like needing attention? You like tripping a little bit? Like what's going on with the way you're carrying yourself? And address that, okay? Because the energy is all up in your face. It's a self-reflective energy, and it's all about balance. And being clear on yourself emotionally and mentally, and that this specific trine that's happening is really going to bring back that energy of pleasure, that energy of like not only emotional pleasure but mental pleasure. You want to be mentally stimulated, you want to be emotionally stimulated, and your ego also wants to feel really good right now. So make sure you're tailoring your spell work surrounding that. Make sure you're calling in, especially if you're trying to do different types of spell work. Like, don't be trying to hex nobody on a new moon in Leo. Like, Leo energy is not for that, okay? Great time to do some love spells, great time to do like money spells, great time to do some luxury spells too, and to like, you know, especially if you're trying to like manifest like a house or a car or something like that. It's a great time to do that, just because of the luxury that Leo carries upon its shoulders. It tends to be a very luxurious sign, just like Taurus and Libra. It tends to be a very, very showy sign. And so if you can definitely do a lot of work with that. You can also do a lot of ego work during this time, a lot of ego healing, which is also coming up in the cards. We're gonna talk about it. Now, there's a couple of other things that I wanted to talk about. The first is, well, Mars is squaring two planets for this particular new moon. Mars is squaring Saturn and Mars is squaring Pluto, both of which are in Capricorn during the new moon. And so the way I want you guys to understand this, it's the cardinal energy aspect of this. And we've talked about cardinal energy a lot on my channel because I am a Capricorn and we just talk about it quite often, especially during the season shifts. But because both Mars and Saturn are in cardinal signs, Mars being in Aries, which is a cardinal sign in fire, and Saturn being in Capricorn, which is a cardinal sign in earth, there is this kind of like head-to-head energy. And the way this kind of comes to pass, Mars is going to try to push the envelope a little bit faster. And as far as like your manifestation goes, the way that this is going to really affect it, especially within your spell work, be mindful of the intentions that you're setting. You want them to be a little bit longer term. And the reason why I'm saying this is because Mars doesn't always win the war against Saturn. And what I mean by that is that Mars can have moments of, you know, burst, especially like energy, because you have to think Mars is especially in Aries, because Aries is the warrior sign. It's a very like going to war energy, but that energy does burn out sometimes. It does. And this is why, I mean, you have the cycle of Mars moving and Saturn moving. Saturn moves slower. So the impact of Saturn not budging to Mars is actually a big deal that you need to comprehend for this particular new moon. You shouldn't be trying to force something that's going to take 5 years for you to manifest, especially when you're not at the place to receive it, and try to manifest it in a month, because it's just not going to happen. So be very realistic, because Saturn, especially with the square, he's going to check you. Same with Pluto on this, because Pluto takes a long time to move. Okay, so don't be sitting here trying to ask for healing that's going to take you like a year to fully heal through. Don't be sitting here and asking for things like a house when you are not even ready to receive that house within the next like 4 months. It might take you a year. It might take you 2 years. Be a little bit more realistic, because what Mars is going to do, especially with all of the conjunctions and all of the trines, is that he's going to be like, yeah, let's go. I'm passionate. I got this. I know what I want. I know where I'm going. I got it. Let's go. Let's go to war. Let's do this. And then Saturn's going to be like, hold up, because I'm still Father Time though. So I need you to check. I need you to be realistic, because that's just, especially Saturn and Capricorn, there's a reality that comes into your face where you're like, okay, well, what are your goals with this? Like, it's almost like you trying to like come into an interview and you're just like, yeah, I'm gonna get this job. You're telling the person hiring you, like, I'm gonna get this job, and the person hiring you is just like, yeah, but what are your goals here? Why do you want to work here? Like, they're asking you questions that are gonna prove how much you want to stay there. Like, you're not just going to leave in like 3 months or something like that, because they want to see if they can invest in you. And that is how you need to be thinking about it, in that way. Can the universe invest in you with what it is that you want? And how long do you want to think about how it's going to come into fruition? It might not come in a whole entire 2-3 months. So are you willing to stay consistent and committed to the intentions that you're setting so that you can bring them into fruition when they need to come in? Are you willing to let the Father of Time and Karma give you all give you the moments and the triggers that you need in order to evolve, in order for you to receive these things? Are you willing to transform through Pluto and go through that death and rebirth stage? Release the stuff that you don't need to have in your space so that you can welcome all this new stuff you are manifesting and calling in. These are the things that we need answered, okay? And so that's one of the biggest kind of the lingering energies that are going to be highly affecting this particular new moon in Leo. Because while there's going to be all of this good vibes and stuff, be mindful that all of that energy, all of this alignment, all this balancing, all of being like, oh my God, I'm very aligned with what I'm doing, I'm very aligned with my purpose, I know what I want, I'm calling it in, all this stuff. Make sure you're realistic with your intentions. Don't just be like, yeah, I'm gonna just do this and I'm gonna get it and da, 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 da. Like, because Saturn and Pluto are gonna be sitting here like, because Pluto's a Capricorn, so you ain't gonna transform without doing it the Capricorn way, okay? If you want to transform, you're gonna have to do it. You're gonna have to go through Capricorn before you do it. No matter how Aries wants to push through, it's not going to be able to, because Aries and Capricorn energy are very, very similar. Except Capricorn will always take more time before it fully commits to something, where Aries will decide in one moment and that's where it's going. So there is a commitment level, especially, and you have to, the reason why this is important is because you have to think about it this way. Leo is a fixed sign. The energy and the intentions that you are setting are going to be fixed in your life, because you want them to be something that's long lasting. And because that Capricorn energy, that Saturn Pluto energy, which takes longer to move and are more stable in stabilizing in your life, and that create change that is longer lasting, that lasts upwards of 50, 60 years of your life, you have to think about it in that level, in that like level of, you know, that intensity. It's not just like, oh, I just want to have a, you know, a fling. It's like, okay, do you want to get married type of thing. Like, it's a commitment level. So you have to make sure your passion are in alignment with how long you want to kind of have that in your life. It's not just like having a fling with what you love. It's like, hey, we get that you love this, but how much do you love it? Like, how much time do you want to invest in this? And that is really the question. How much time do you want to invest in this? So then we can actually come through and have that harmonious, you know, energy. Because at the same time that all of this is happening, we still have Jupiter conjunction with Pluto and Saturn conjuncting with Pluto as well, because all of them are in Capricorn. And so you have to kind of understand that there are certain things that are a little bit going to be flexible and are going to feel good about the chart, and there's other things that are like, okay, you serious about this? I bet. Show me how serious you are. What's your intention going to be like? Is this going to be a 3-month intention, or is this going to be like a 5-year intention? Like, how are you actually communicating to me, the universe, that what you want? And is it supposed to just last a couple days? Like, what is it that you want? Like, I'm not entertaining nothing too small. So what you want, and how serious are you about it? Like, that's the way I need you guys to see it. Because as good as the energy is gonna feel, you also have to understand the power behind it all. Because there is that, like, that cardinal energy just fueling it in the background. And if what you want is to feel good, be happy, be at peace, be successful, all of these type of things, you have to make sure those intentions are long lasting. Not just like, I want to be successful at my job for, like, you know, get that promotion and that's it, even though I don't really like being here and whatever, I just want the extra money. That type of stuff, like that, it's just not gonna work. So please, 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 please make sure that you are okay. You're just bringing it back. Just bring it back. So let's just talk about the cards really quick that I got. First of all, we're gonna talk about the mudras for this particular new moon in Leo. So I'm gonna show you all of them, so you can pause the video, take a screenshot, or do whatever it is that you want to do. I'll show you the back in a second for each one. So the first one is clarifying current energy. Attuned to the uppermost current of energy, my senses are open to all of life's beauty. Okay, I'm just gonna leave it there so you can pause it and read it. Then we have global healing. Bathed in the crystal light of healing, I experience the sacred wholeness of being. And then I'm gonna flip it over so you guys can pause and read it. The next one is harmonious life transitions. Balance at the center of my being. I embrace life transitions as opportunities. This is one I do with my sacral chakra all the time, because we all know the sacral chakra is a conductor. Okay, that's my manifestation zone, so you already know. So show you the back so you can read that. So for the cards that we got for this particular new month, for our tarot cards, we have the Empress, the Seven of Cups, and the Knight of Wands. So okay, so you want success, you want that recognition, you want to be good, you want to be like, you want your ego to feel good, you want to feel strong, you want to walk like that catwalk that we described earlier. You want that, and you're definitely going to be at this Knight of Wands level, but you have to understand that you do have to process what that looks like to you. That's where the Seven of Cups energy is coming from, because once you are the Emperor, once you get to that point, what does your life look like? What does your life look like with all of these possibilities? What does it look like? What does it look like? What are the choices? What are all of these intentions? What are all of these intentions looking like? And what is your plan on getting there as well? How will you support yourself? And make sure you write that down in your intentions. You got to make sure that you're like, you put that down in there, especially if you're going to be scripting or anything like that. You want to put that down. You want to say, hey, every month or every week I am taking a day, or I'm taking some time to focus on myself, to focus on my health, to focus on my eating habits, to focus on my self-care, my self-love. Like, what are these intentions looking like? You really have to start having a set plan. And this is what I'm saying. You're gonna have to navigate through Capricorn energy before you can swim through and be like, oh yeah, I'm happy, I'm successful, I'm all this stuff. Like, no, you're gonna have to literally go through the sign that rules that success before you can receive it. Okay, because it's very easy for Leo to feel good, but it feels better when it is in that place of just comfort. So what makes you comfortable? You really have to set your intentions around that as well. The other cards that we have was Patience and Harmony, because I'm telling you, these intentions are going to take a minute to manifest. And I've said this for a while now, because Capricorn energy has been like lingering for the past few years. And I keep telling y'all, your intentions better be long lasting, and you better be patient to receive them, because it's going to take time. They're too groundbreaking. It's like you have to wait for you not only to be able to receive them, but also for things to be in alignment for you to receive them. Okay. The next one is Joy and Love, because of course that should be one of your intentions, because of course that's something that Leo loves. It loves love. Leos love love. I don't even need to tell y'all. I just find your local Leo that will tell you how much they love love. Why? Because it feels good. It's pleasurable. And this is what I'm saying. You need to make sure your intentions are surrounding that. Like, even if you're trying to call in a partner, make sure that they want to please you. Make sure that they want to love you. Make sure that they like love you in the way that you need to be loved as well. Not just kind of like the way you've been loved before that just didn't work, obviously. Call that in the best way that you can, like the most pleasurable way that you can. The next one is Diplomacy and Kindness. Now, if you watched the weekly healing circle, we kind of really talked about this particular week there's a lot of like jealous energy coming through, especially like it happens during Leo season, it happens all the time. But there is to kind of like this energy of kind of disconnecting from others, and specifically for this new moon in Leo, you might want to take some time away from other people, just to kind of bring it back into yourself and have those moments and have that ritual and have that, disconnect in order to set those intentions properly. But I do feel like it's almost like this kind of like not killing them with kindness type of thing, almost like disconnecting with kindness. Like, I'm practicing self-care with kindness by not giving you my time right now, because I'm kind of busy trying to call in my best life. So make sure you're thinking about it in that perspective. Don't just be like petty to be petty. Don't try to have any type of like that toxic kind of energy, because the second you kind of use that Mars in Aries energy to like lash out at somebody, it's gonna take from your joy, from your love, from your pleasure, from your passion, and you really shouldn't have time for it right now. just don't do it. Last card is caution and wisdom, and this is what I'm saying, like reel it back in, reel it back in, reel it back in. The other thing, the only reason why that also came out, our planetary energies are fire and Virgo. First of all, Virgo season is creeping in, and if you watched my weekly healing circle, we talked about the effects of Leo season going into Virgo season, going into Scorpio season, and so forth and so forth. The reason why it is important, because the way if you neglect your body, for example, your healing, for example, during Leo season, especially because it's the most pleasurable season, when you neglect that, what that creates during Virgo season is a lot of unhealthy energy. And so the reason why the Virgo season is creeping in, specifically for this new moon, is because you have to set better intentions for your self-care, especially on a physical level. Your physical body, your physical form. And we talked about this in the weekly healing circles, so make sure you go watch that after this. But we talked about this. When you neglect your body, when you neglect your physical form, it starts manifesting in the worst way during Virgo season. Why? Because Leo's all about feeling good and pleasure and your ego being in alignment and feeling good and vibing and all this stuff. And then when Virgo season comes through, it's all about healing and serving others and stuff. Like, you do have to serve yourself before you serve other people. Before you heal other people, you have to heal yourself. And if you haven't done that, you're stuck in a very toxic Virgo energy where you're just like repressing and just not even trying to address certain issues. And because Earth energy tends to show a lot of it takes a lot of time to manifest, as we have just talked about with the Capricorn energy. When it comes to health and healing issues, your health issues will manifest over a long period of you doing this to yourself. So let's say you just like started smoking this year and you haven't stopped yet or something, and you just keep doing it every single year, you will notice that your health will decline within those years. And so you want to make sure that you go into like, we're about to go into Virgo season very, very soon. So you want to make sure that you're going into it with a healthier mindset, with a healthier ego, with a healthier passion, like not just trying to like make your life more complicated than it needs to be. And this is why we're also getting chakra clearing for our other oracle cards. By clearing your chakras, you open yourself up to profound wisdom. Okay, listen. And then we also have first step. Breaking down this problem into tiny pieces makes it easier to take the first step. And we also have communicate with your angels. You have the ability to connect with beings of love who surround you. Communicate with your angels and deliver their healing messages to others. So you have that Virgo energy, it's just like to others, but you have to be able to give it to yourself first, boo, because if you're not, then you can't, and that's just the way that is. Because love energy, it's coming up. That's one of the energies of this particular new moon. And of course it is. Of course it is. Of course it is. 1000%. I mean, Venus is still in Cancer. So, we still have to nurture. That's still, the energy is there for that. So you have to be mindful of how that's being shared and communicated with other people right now. Our messages from Archangel Michael. The first one is believe and trust. Okay, and the prayer goes, before going to sleep tonight, say, Archangel Michael, please enter my dreams and replace fear and faith, and the fear with faith and trust. Let me be filled with strength, courage, and confidence, which is super Leo energy. And the last one is decide to be happy now. And the prayer goes, thank you for helping me to open my heart to happiness, joy, and bliss. I am now willing to see all of the goodness in my life. I'm going to end it on that note. So I hope that you guys received all the messages that you needed from this video. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you to all my new subscribers. Thank you to my Patreons as well. It's definitely been like a journey with you guys, and I am really glad to be able to continue doing this with you guys. So thank you very much for watching and for taking the time. Definitely don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to ring the bell so you get notified anytime I upload. Don't forget to check out the Patreon as well, because we're always learning and growing over there. And also, don't forget to check out my podcast. It's called Between Ascension, and it's definitely something that I am just started building. The first episode launched last week. The next episode will be tomorrow, every Wednesday on the day of Mercury, because that's the day of communication. There's going to be a new episode, so stay tuned for that. I'm really excited to just be able to share and just talk a little bit longer with you guys about things that I can't necessarily talk about on YouTube. So yeah, definitely check it out. The link will be down below, and yeah, I will see you guys in the next one.